Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Digi, your earlier comment appeared as though you were judging a book by its cover. Was that the case?
No, that's not the case at all, and with due respect to my friend in the building, I was just making like a general comment. The comment wasn't directed at him. And what I was trying to say is basically that, you see, even in the U.S., there is an electoral college. There are swing states. For instance, if a young person says he's running for office, there must be that serious network, grassroots network movement, just like we saw in the Emmanuel Macron issue. We saw Obama apply the same strategy. For instance, you're running for president in Kano. What is your strategy for winning in Kano? Who are your coordinators in, let's say, Kano Municipal Local Government? Who are the coordinators? Who are the people driving the electoral process and the drive for you? Who are going to be your canvassers? Who are going to be your agents at the ward levels? Who are going to be your agents at the polling unit levels? How do you intend to win the election? So, you see, just like what I said earlier, that politics is serious business. It goes beyond ambition. Yes, young is attractive, very, very attractive. Like I said, I am pro not too young to run, and I even took it a step further, that if people can vote at 18, they should be able to get elected at that age. But young is not enough. Competence is the real issue. Competence. You see, I have a company, and I cannot hand over my company to someone if I hire a manager for my company, and the manager does not show competence in managing the company. I have to sack him, because if I don't, he's going to crash the business.
Do you see young people running for office in Nigeria as competent people today?
There are so many competent young people. For instance, our movement, we met with Kingsley Moghalu, we met with Sowore, we met with Fela Durotoye, we met with several young people. I met Buhari, so many people.
You've met Alebiosu.
Yes, indeed. And I've just met Etim. The essence of meeting these people is so that we can do reappraisal and compare notes.
So you've seen them.
And you see, there are also, for instance, look at Tambuwal, he's young. Look at Dan Kwambo, he's young. People can even say Kwankwaso is young. These are people who, over the years, you can give an example. You can say, for instance, if I want to go into shipping, and or maybe I want to be a clearing agent, I must have some form of expertise in that field. If you want to go into governance, you must have some form of expertise in that field. I may not have all the facts about each presidential candidate, young presidential candidate, but that is why we must interrogate everyone who says he wants to lead us, because if you want to lead me and you want to lead this nation, the decision and the choices you make will affect me, and it will affect you as well.
Let me get your thoughts, Mr. Tim, Your Excellency.
It's an aspirant.
It's an aspirant too. But the biggest challenge, it seems to me, that I get these complaints now and then, is that the young people don't have that funding capacity. You say that the monies will come later. How do you translate from the point where you don't have the money to a point you become president or you get into office, when you have to pass all those hurdles? Say, for instance, if you have to go campaigning, you need the money. If you have to get the support of delegates, at least in our politics, the practical terms today is that you still have to sort them out. Am I wrong in my thinking?
Well, sort them out, they do, actually. Let me explain something to you. If I get 2 to 3 million young Nigerians to contribute 360 naira for my campaign, I would raise more than enough money for what I need to do, to start with. That's why I said the money is easy to come. And we have much more than enough number of people to do that. Where we have a challenge when it comes to resources is how much time the young person has prepared himself for that office. And I agree with them, it's not just because you're young. When I was 25, we elected 2 young persons into a network, a national network, and they've remained in office for a 2-year term. They're still in office 12 years gone. So it's not enough for the person to be young, but do they have the competence in terms of 3 things that is important to have? Number 1, have they shown beyond their career, beyond a responsibility, a job, that they are committed to the welfare and the well-being of others than themselves and their immediate family? Because that's one of the important criteria to go to office for, to fight for the well-being of the Nigerian. 2, are they interested in the development and growth of Nigeria to become a competitive country amongst nations? And not just because they've traveled out of the country, but they've learned and understood what it takes to put that in place. And then finally, number 3, that they have the capacity to bring people together, old, young, and people of diversity, to the same room to work across and get this to happen. So the question you're asking me is, can I put that together? I guess I've done it before. I've done it across the last 20 years of my career. From when I was 15, I've been working towards being president. And all over the world, one thing is, I can say, for example, is no one who has seen my aspiration has been shocked by it. In fact, there's been coming back to say, we just expected that one day it will happen, and thanks to the Not Too Young to Run law.
So, what then makes you think, because having prepared yourself for the president and coming into the fray, you may have seen that the terrain is completely different from what we may have seen elsewhere running for other positions. What makes you think that you can take on any of the candidates right now?
Well, right now, the only person that really I need to get out of office is the incumbent himself. There's no other person right now that is aspired. First of all, those that he says he's met, none of them need the Not Too Young to Run law. My colleagues, Fela and so were already qualified. They were both 40 years old. So they never needed the law in the first place to contest. So that's a different conversation. Prof was a deputy governor of the CBN above the requirement of the Not Too Young to Run law, or the advantage of the law. So we're talking about now what the law does, isn't it? So for the law, as far as myself is concerned, I don't have that challenge. What I need to do now is to get Nigerians to understand that going to the polls in 2019 is about us, the people, and not them. If we can get that across, then the game is different, and I don't have the challenge.
Honorable Bush, you don't see that challenge facing up, do you?
Honestly, when you look at the reality on ground, to be honest with you, the way I see things, I see it differently. I'm always very happy to use the description of baking a cake. Whether we like it or not, the young people are coming, whether we like it or not. What we need to look out for is, will they be the right young people or the same surrogates of the people we're complaining about? Now, if only young people dominate the political scene, it will fail. How do I mean? When you bake a cake, you don't use the same ratio of eggs and flour. And that's why I had said that for us to see things happen, for us to see things change, first of all, the parliament is what we look at. We should not, I think it's ludicrous to put the success or failure of a nation, a business, a state on an individual. We're not paying attention to the policymakers. Who are those people who make the laws? Who are those, what is the intention of the policymaker? Now, how do we get 80% of the National Assembly to be young people? We can't discard the old ones. We won't go anywhere. We still need the experience. So it's all about getting a right mix. We're saying, from what I understand, I believe what is happening is that more of the old people are dominant on the scene. How do we change? Just like in those days, if I wanted to get married, they would marry me a wife. But in this case now, we present a wife and ask for the blessings of the older ones. I believe that is what should come to play here. When you stand for the position of leadership, it's not a joke, it's not a game. It's a serious business.
Emmanuel, let me bring you in again. Is it a good strategy as a result of this law to immediately seek for the #1 seat in the country rather than perhaps the House of Representatives, the Senate, or State House of Assembly? Why go for the top?
Well, I'm not going for the top for the first time. I've played different roles across the strata of the country, from actually local government politics to the state politics to the national. I left the country to do international politics. I came back. And I don't think that that's all what young people are doing. There are lots of young people who are going for local government elections now, state house of assembly elections, national assembly. There's lots of young people actually in the race. It's just because of the attention we give to the office of the president, which is why we see that there's a lot of attention around the few who have actually come forward to say, I'm interested for this. So maybe some they want just to get themselves popular, get some awareness around their name, or to promote their brand, which is different. And I think I like what he said very much. I've been someone who's pushed for intergenerational partnership for years now. And I believe that's the way forward. How do we bring young people, adults, women together? I believe, for example, when the time comes, 50% of all appointments must go to young people, 50% of all appointments goes to women. But at the same time, we must ensure that we have the necessary competence in the adults who understand the direction the country has to go, not just because of their old age.
Do you think we need to legislate that? Or those who qualify to be will naturally show up in the system?
Well, no, we need to put the efforts to ensure that happens, because it's just not to legislate. Then you still have to get it to happen, isn't it? We need to get out of our comfort zone to look for those people, and we have them. We have to go and look for them, we'll find them, and we get them there.
Okay, let me bring in this, and I'd like everyone to weigh in one after the other. The recent elections in Ekiti, I mean, many have said way before that time, we've always had that challenge of money politics, but it seems to be getting to a different dimension. And we've had politicians who have come here and say, look, they went to campaign, and upon campaigning, they were told by different groups, after campaigning, no, you have to do something. And then they found themselves saying, no, I can't do that. I think my words should be enough for you. If you can't be convinced about this, you don't need to, I don't need to buy you over by money for the 4 years. But if you head out now, I imagine you would have done a lot of campaigning in different areas. How do you deal with that kind of scenario? If they tell you, look, if you don't drop any money here, you've got no chance.
I'm already getting that call. I'm getting those calls already. People asking me, how much do you have? Put the money, you have to spend money, you have to spend a lot of money. And I don't disregard that some money is going to be spent, yeah? Because I've gotten all the advices I can get from many places, and I still need more. Maybe I'll come to the Honorable to give me some, advice around that. But yeah, you'll spend money, and money needs to be spent. However, this is where the young persons themselves have to come out, leave the Twitter, leave Instagram, leave Facebook, actually get out and get it done. Because if I don't get elected, or any young person doesn't get elected, I tell you why. Because young persons didn't stand and vote. That's the only answer.
But does it just start and end with the PVC?
You see, the current president has been trying to be president